People die in this issue. Why do I have a feeling that Jewel will learn nothing from this? What is Zor about to do to that woman? Ian Flynn stomping on Evan Stanley's toes here. Fuck you, Charmy. Not even one single person in the restoration was like, we will be attacked repeatedly. Sonic and everybody else in relation to leadership for the restoration couldn't give any less of a damn.
Eggman Empire. Authorization approved. Access granted.
What is happening, perverts? My name is KotyTang. It's Sonic IDW time. We're gonna take a break from Evan Stanley and focus on some Ian Flynn action because Evan is not gonna be here for these 4 issues. It's gonna be Ian Flynn. This is my first time reading through the IDW comics, so be sure to not post any spoilers in the comments below. All right, with that said, let's just hop right into this. Issue 41. Sonic taunts and battles Eggman in Winterburg, and IDW reminds us that Baldy McNosehair was indeed a thing that Sonic said and thought was hilarious.
Hey, where are you going?
To find
Baldy McNosehair.
of course. I'm totally calling him
McNosehair.
Sonic blames Eggman for allowing the Deadly Six to join the Metal Virus saga, to which Eggman says that Starline did that. But Sonic tells Eggman that since Starline was his lackey, of course it's Eggman's fault, but Eggman points out that Starline is no longer affiliated with him, so it can't be his fault, to which Sonic says semantics. See, Sonic is also playing a semantic battle here, but okay, classic IDW Sonic, pretend you're doing nothing wrong and everybody else is the actual problem. At least in this case, he's talking to somebody that he doesn't like. In the background, Master Zik looks on as Sonic battles with Eggman, wondering just what happened to Zavok as he has not come to find him yet. So, of course, we flash over to Zavok, who is molding over the fact that he was obliterated by Sonic twice now, and also got screwed over by both Starline and Mimic, as well as Dr. Eggman. And now he's just the dude with an egg pawn. Be sure to go and take a look at my Bad Guys review for more of that. Since all that happened, Zavok will not stand for this. He orders the egg pawn to find the nearest town, where he first finds Zaz, and then in the second town he finds Zomom. Zavok even gets healed, and then finally meets with Master Zik, who has recruited the rest of the Deadly Six already. Zik devises a plan for Zavok, where they'll pretend to leave a pattern of destruction, but in reality, they'll be heading back to Restoration HQ to catch everybody off guard as they go and defend, assumedly, the next town the Deadly Six would have attacked. So the Deadly Six go and attack some more towns to start their plan. Just wanted to point out that Zavok has canonically killed at least 2 people, just barely off screen so far. Meanwhile, at Restoration HQ, the Chaotix arrive to meet with Jewel, and they devise a plan to counterattack the Deadly Six, believing they'll be easy to go after, ironically falling right into the Deadly Six's trap. Sonic is contacted by Tails about what's been going on, and Tails says that the Deadly Six will either attack Sunset City or Winterburg next. That's what they assume, but they don't really know that. Windmill Village could very well be next on the agenda. So, anyway, Sonic now awaits the Deadly Six in Winterburg. Hey, bro! What is Zor about to do to that woman? We can't be having creepy dudes dragging women into dark places like this if you don't want a certain implication.
You know, they can't refuse because of the implication.
But if the implication is what you're wanting, that's a pretty dark thing to imply, IDW.
There's nowhere for me to run. What am I gonna do, say no?
Okay, that seems really dark.
Oh, also, let me just point out Zavok's impeccable ability of total recall as he accurately names off every place that he's never even known about until the Metal Virus saga, and even then places he only saw once. Unless he just sat there studying the map for hours. like a true hunter. Since we're on the subject of knowing things at certain points of the story, so like, what the hell is the timeline here? See, Bad Guys would have ended quite a bit before issue 33, yet here we are, issue 41, as though it's the next day after Starline lost the Eggnet hub and Zavok was carried away by an egg pawn. Eggman has turned his full attention to Zavok after realizing that he was attacking his bases, but first he created the tower from the issues before this. So, I guess Eggman has moved on from that idea, and now he's attacking the Deadly Six, and Zavok is just now deciding that he should rest after walking for, let's see, 8 main series issues, plus 1 for Bad Guys. So, he's been walking for about 9 issues straight. Okay, so Zavok has been this way since before issue 33, and now he's finally thinking about everything he's been through and getting revenge. Need I remind you all that Evan Stanley has been writing these comics since issue 33, while Ian wrote Bad Guys in the background. Ian Flynn only hopped back on to quickly do Zeti Hunt, and then Evan Stanley will be taking over again. So, was there minimal coordination between Ian and Evan here or something? The way issue 41 is set up, it pretty much directly shows that after issue 32, when the metal virus was fully dealt with, Bad Guys happened, and then it jumped straight to issue 41. Issue 33 up to 40 just never happened. The reason I say that is because issue 41 is written as though it takes place right after Bad Guys. We even have the Chaotix reiterating the fact that Restoration HQ is completely redone. We just saw that it was rebuilt in the last few issues when Belle was brought here. This feels like a very obvious moment of Ian Flynn stomping on Evan Stanley's toes here. What it looks like is that this is where Ian actually wanted to start the saga, not in Tails' workshop. Even the recap pages explicitly only show the ending of the metal virus and Bad Guys. The two things that just happen to be written by Ian versus Evan Stanley. It kind of feels like we can safely call issue 41 a huge middle finger to Evan Stanley, delivered by none other than Ian Flynn himself. It's not like these two can't talk to each other and realize what the other is doing for this story. Ian doesn't have to wait 2 months later for Evan's issue to come out. He would already know what it's going to be about and what happens in it. So he should have planned for Bad Guys to take place a few weeks at the least before issue 41. Unfortunately for Ian, in issue 42, he realizes that he can't just not have Evan's lore in his comic continuity. I don't know. To me, it seems pretty sleazy to set up issue 41 as though it's right after Bad Guys ended, and act like it's only a few days after Bad Guys once Ian temporarily takes over the comic again. Again, let me remind you, Bad Guys takes place before issue 33. It's been at least several weeks since the events of Bad Guys happened. Speaking of lore and the Deadly Six, the Restoration just let Zomom live in Vista View. What the actual hell are you talking about? Of course, in the last issue, Amy said the Restoration doesn't take prisoners, which is totally fine, and follows very proper usage of logic. So instead of sending Zomom to Everhold Prison with Zavok, Mimic, Ruff, and Tumble, they just let him live in a cage in Vista View. That's a bit inhumane, don't you think? Restoration? That's kind of like you guys taking a prisoner. I mean, you even have security forces in Vista View. I guess this is just another semantic battle. Right, Sonic? Yeah, I'm sure nothing bad could ever happen with Zomom living in Vista View in a cage. The Restoration might want to start taking prisoners from now on, if you ask me. Or, of course, they can just be perfectly fine with Vista View being leveled and all of the people slaughtered inside. You know, speaking about security, it is nice to see that the Restoration took my advice and actually got some security forces for the town. Unfortunately, they're no better than they were when they worked under Knuckles, so of course they don't last very long and everybody dies. Can I actually just focus on that for a moment? People die in this issue. Oh my god, is there so much death? Zavok is even letting people bleed out. Zomom is eating people. Zaz is blowing people up. These towns and villages are getting straight up leveled. There's nothing left by the time that Zavok leaves. This is darker than anything in the Metal Virus. The Deadly Six are just going on a killing spree. Honestly, 10 out of 10. Best thing IDW has had the balls to do this entire time. Waiting to see what these villages look like after the Deadly Six get canned though. Oh, and on a lighter note, Sonic actually decided to finally get a communicator. Probably would have been a useful tool to have during the Zombot virus, but better late than never, I suppose. We'll see how long before this convenient communicator is ditched by Sonic. I'll be waiting. Issue 42. Jewel meets with the Chaotix, Sonic, and Tails to detail how the plan against the Deadly Six is going so far. Charmy tries to get Jewel to say hi to him. Fuck you, Charmy. And in the call, Vector takes the responsibility of giving the exact details about their plan. Charmy eventually actually gets Jewel to say hi to him the next time he asks. Fuck you, Charmy. And everybody is in place. Tails reveals that he's made a Zeti mobile called the Zeti Launcher that will force the Deadly Six back to the Lost Hex. He's also repurposed Zavok's emerald siphons that were placed on each of the Deadly Six in the Metal Virus saga. Tails now calls it the Zeti Zapper, and it will prevent the Zeti from using their powers. Somehow. The Zeti Mobile will also prevent the Zeti from using their powers. Somehow. We focus over on Sonic so that he can explain to us all of the problems he's dealt with so far. Especially one in particular. One giga fanboy of Dr. Eggman. Dr. Starline. So we jump to Dr. Starline at, oh, it's got a name now. Emeraldville. So Dr. Starline is looking at the shed of the Restoration HQ, thinking back about Belle? Belle? Dr. Starline wants Belle? Out of every other character, Belle is who he wants? I understood Tails, but Belle? Also, what? Silver's Garden is back? Now, Starline tells the audience how much he wants to steal Belle away, but he just can't get inside the Restoration HQ. With his Tricore, he could storm the base entirely, but he would never do that. That's what Eggman would do. As he's saying all this, he's simultaneously trying to get inside the base. Starline is just casually going into the base while discussing how he can't get in and the ways he could get in. Okay. I guess he accidentally acts while he's in deep thought, and then he just commits to the bit eventually. The Deadly Six stormed the Restoration HQ, easily getting past their defenses of literally a guy out front and 2 people inside with Wispons, which surprises Zavok, and Zik explains that the Restoration doesn't prepare for any problems unless it's Eggman, as this entire world is just that peaceful. No way, dude. The Restoration is that stupid? Starline sees the Deadly Six running through the HQ and takes the opportunity to search for Belle in the commotion. While this is happening, we see that Tangle, Whisper, and Jewel are holed up inside the command center of HQ, and Jewel is able to give comms out to the Chaotix, Tails, and Sonic. She relays that the Deadly Six are there. The Chaotix and Tails start to make their way back, but Sonic is already more than halfway there, leaving the very moment Jewel said the Deadly Six were at HQ. While Sonic is on his way, Starline manages to save Belle and far out dude here from Zomom by hypnotizing the big yellow guy. Bro, wait. Belle was let back into the machine shop and is still messing up? Hello? Also, Unnecessary diss from Far Out Guy. The hell, man. So the Far Out brother thanks Dr. Starline, and Belle has to tell him that Dr. Starline is evil. Wait, dude. No way! This guy doesn't know Dr. Starline? Oh my god! Dr. Starline is less known than I had initially thought! For all this talk about how organized Jewel is, she forgot to inform everybody running an area of the restoration that Dr. Starline is an evil person, the bad guys are loose, and so much more! Who the hell is Jewel telling these things to? Is it really just Sonic and people adjacent to Sonic that know this stuff? Jewel! You f***ing suck! So Far Out Man tries to defend Belle, but gets poisoned. And to prevent Starline from killing him, which I bet Starline doesn't actually have the balls to do, Belle agrees to be kidnapped by Dr. Starline, without a fuss. Starline and Belle narrowly miss Sonic as he speeds through HQ. Thanks to the Deadly Six, the elevator to the shed is broken, so Starline has to use his Tricore, and he leaves through the secret shed with Belle. Just as the Deadly Six are about to break into where Jewel, Tangle, and Whisper are, Sonic arrives to ambush the Deadly Six, and a fight is about to begin. Hey, you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. That button there, it says subscribe. It doesn't say subscribe, duh. Do you think I'm doing this for my health? Do you think I like reading Sonic IDW? You better hit that subscribe button, you mother... Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you've been enjoying the video. Leave a comment with your thoughts below, and I'll gladly have a conversation with every one of you. Even if we disagree with something, I'm glad you're here. Now back to the video. It's pretty weird that Starline was all, if I could only get into the HQ. And then while saying this, he proceeds to immediately go into the HQ. So either continuity in dialogue just doesn't matter, or Starline accidentally enacts plans in real time while he's still plotting them out. Something we have never seen him do. Starline just decides to enter the Restoration HQ completely on a whim as he monologues how he's different than Eggman, and then transitions his thoughts into what he's doing now, stating that he had no time to create any sort of distraction. Okay, well, Eggman's never done that before. What the hell is going on here? Why is he doing this? This is worse than not having a plan. He doesn't even realize he's going inside. So I guess we can just conclude that Starline is definitively even dumber than Eggman. Oh, and Starline says his Tricore would be powerful enough to storm Restoration HQ. Does he even know that? Would that even be true? Well, actually, I think it would be accidentally true, given the fact that the Restoration security is made up of two niggas, and then Tangle and Whisper, who don't protect the base, they just hide out in a room with Jewel. It is the Deadly Six. They are pretty strong, and they only have 2 guards. I'm sure they're taking that into account. Why do I have a feeling that Jewel will learn nothing from this and continue to have no security or guards anywhere? You know, this is kind of like how Starline overestimated Eggman's security for the Eggnet Hub when he was going after Eggman bases in the Bad Guys miniseries. Yet, in both instances, Starline will still somehow not learn that Eggman has no defenses, nor will he learn that the Restoration also have no defenses. So in conclusion, nobody's going to learn anything about security after this. Speaking of the base, the Restoration HQ isn't very secretive about its location. I was under the impression that the shed was their main entrance. The place that Tangle and Belle shot out of, I assumed was a secret exit that the Restoration could use. Now with this new context, it's very likely that the front door is just where Tangle and Belle flew out of. Would it not make sense for the Restoration to be like hidden? Kind of like how it's always been anytime it was shown before this issue. If anybody finds out the location, then they're compromised. Everything they've worked for is going to be destroyed and constantly attacked. I wonder how the cities are doing with this Zeti Hunt situation. Do you think the police would be able to defeat the Deadly Six? I feel like a metropolis like that would logically be where Zavok and the crew really want to hit. they would get the most bang for their buck that way. I just want to see how the cities would respond. Since the restoration is just out in the open, apparently the Deadly Six can just find the place and walk right in. I'd imagine one of the people in the village were just like, yeah, just go up that hill and then a street will randomly pop up. Just follow that until you get to the Restoration HQ. It's the only place with the street, you can't miss it. I mean, how else would the Deadly Six have found the base? It's not like they've ever been there. And Zavok just found out the Restoration was a thing in the last issue. As far as I can tell, none of the Deadly Six ever even left the towns they were defeated in. It's not like Master Zik went out and found the location of the Restoration HQ. Unless people are just casually in town like, you know the Restoration? Oh yeah, it's that place up the mountain, across this city, at this exact location. Oh yeah, totally. The HQ is a poppin' hangout. I can't imagine how else they would have found that information. I suppose the alternative is that the Deadly Six interrogated people until somebody told them. It's just never said how they found this place. Oh, and also, let me get this straight. The Restoration took my advice about security for the towns, but didn't for their own base? The reasoning for the lack of defenses is also even more stupid, and it's not even true in universe. But it has to be believed by Jewel because there aren't any defenses. That part is true. Master Zik explains that people are only occasionally accosted by Eggman, and that otherwise they all live in harmony. No fights or stealing from each other. Every single person in the world is just a big old baby, apparently. Now, as we've seen throughout this entire comic, there's Everhold Prison, housing a ton of convicted criminals, Rough and Tumble taking over entire towns, Clutch is running an illegal operation hidden behind chow races, Dr. Starline is Eggman's protege, and Mimic is a trained assassin. The Restoration has more to worry about than just Eggman. Yet they operate like he's the only threat to the entire world? How f***ing stupid. I mean, even this guy in the security corps just says that he's only there to stop badniks. As if that's the only threat that they have to deal with. I simply cannot believe that not even one single person in the Restoration was like, we will be attacked repeatedly. Eggman hates every single one of us. And there are plenty of other dangers that have spawned over the years. We need protection. We need security. There is absolutely no logic placed behind this action, and I can only describe it as a way to get Sonic to rush down to the Restoration in a desperate move. Because why the f*** would they have 3 people as security? And really, it makes even less sense when you think about the fact that they have security at every single town. So they have to be waiting for something to pop off. My god, they really are as bad as Eggman. No wonder nobody can defeat him. What is the actual point of the Restoration? Are they really just a construction worker organization? Whenever a bad guy rolls around and screws up a whole town, they just come in and fix it afterward? Do they charge these people? What kind of organization are they running here? If you ask me, there might be a reason they're letting these villains go. Honestly, who the hell would feel safe enough to have these guys defending them? These guys are corporate. They're one step away from controlling this whole region and taxing everyone. Speaking of things going right and wrong, Dr. Starline did exactly what I said he should be capable of in Bad Guys, and that's using his hypnosis on the other members of the Deadly Six. So now that we know he can at least get one of them, Starline, it's time to create a device that has a wider range and get even more people in the hypnosis. Maybe even up the effectiveness of it. Next thing you know, you've got an army of people who bend to your will, plus the robots who can even be equipped to regularly use the hypnosis so that it never wears off. And on top of that, you still have the thousands of power cores you guys all nabbed up. The Starline could be infinitely better than Eggman. Actually, thinking back, I find it interesting that Starline pointed out this hypnosis doesn't work on people that know him. That was how he got into the prisons, because nobody knew him there. And it was true. Once the guard knew who Starline was, he immediately snapped out of the hypnosis. So then, what about Rouge? Did she just suddenly forget who Starline was? Zomom, I can see that for. But Rouge? So either IDW doesn't know how Starline's hypnosis works, or that was just a terrible explanation as to why Starline can't use his hypnosis. I think what they actually meant is that even if he hypnotizes one person, the guy next to him will know who Starline is. Some more irony for you there. Nobody knows who Starline is. We've made that very clear in this issue. Far Out Guy had no idea who the hell he was looking at, and Belle only knew him because she saw him before. Really, Starline could just walk into Restoration HQ and nobody would have any idea who he even was. I'd like to point out that Sonic is not upset about the hundreds, maybe even thousands of people that the Deadly Six just killed. Nope. He was drinking coffee, waiting for them to kill enough people until they finally made it back to Winterburg. Sonic is only mad that the Deadly Six managed to trick him. That's extremely important to note, because that means that Sonic and everybody else in relation to leadership for the Restoration couldn't give any less of a damn about what happens to people. They could have just started their way toward the Deadly Six. They have plenty of people who can actively track them as well as wait for them. Everybody knows the Deadly Six are a big deal. So any fighter worth anything would be like, okay, yeah, let's go screw him up. Call up Shadow, he'll be on his way. And Knuckles, Rouge and Omega, they're on it. The Babylon Rogues, they gonna want that rematch. But, no. Instead, the Restoration just wait for them to be done killing until they happen to stumble across them. That's their plan. I don't know why they didn't just start making their way toward the Deadly Six while having some other people wait for them. They all collectively decided to just wait for the Death Train to meet them. Interesting dynamic you've given these characters, IDW. Speaking of characters facing tragedy, there's something about Belle that is going too far at this point. Why is IDW trying to push this idea that Belle looks like an immediately identifiable badnik, or the fact that she's undeniably Eggman's? Call me an idiot, because in this world, I would be the only nigga in the back questioning how the hell I don't see it when I look at Belle. Before you go, let me tell you about your next step in life. Eggman Empire Discord. Join that shit, debate me, debate some other people in the community, you pussies. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, okay, bye?